Welcome to another CHRO Conversation, hosted by the Center for Executive Succession at the Darla Moore School of Business. I'm your host, Anthony Nyberg, and today we are speaking with Ola Snow. She is the Chief Human Resource Officer for Cardinal Health, a distributor of medical and laboratory products and a provider of performance and data solutions for healthcare facilities, with operations in about 35 countries and more than 44,000 employees. Prior to her current role at Cardinal Health, Ola served as the Chief Diversity Officer. Ola, thank you very much for joining us and coming down here. We sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you. It's home for me, right? I grew up in South Carolina, so I'm excited to be home.
I know you personally and Cardinal Health together have a strong interest in making sure that there are equal playing field opportunities for people and particularly getting women throughout the organization. Can you share a little bit about why, first, it's important to help women rise through the ranks or have the opportunity to rise through the ranks,
Sure.
And then some things that you've done to make that more possible to help women really get to the top of the organization?
It's a great question and one that I think that we've spent a lot of time on through the years. And we know that when there's diverse voices and thoughts at the table that you make just clearly business decisions. And so we've been on this journey both in HR but throughout our business for well over a decade, and it does come down to making sure that there is an equal playing field, and you do that through a lot of ways. Education, making sure that both men and women are partnering together, understanding what are the barriers that are holding women back. You also have to add differentiated development. So do you have those programs and those opportunities for women to develop differently, because we know they learn differently than men in many cases, but also thinking about on the job, what are those stretch assignments, having career conversations with women. Part of my development was doing those stretch assignments throughout the year, but making sure that you're having and measuring your succession for diversity and including gender. But also bringing this conversation of equity as well as equality to the table, and really how you follow that throughout whatever you do. Are you measuring the right things? Are you transparent with the organization around what you're doing well? So it's a journey for sure, and so many things go into it, but we know how important it is to have that diverse thought leadership. We have an executive committee right now that's 70% women. Our CEO and one of our segment CEOs are the only guys that are hanging around these days, but that diversity of thought at the table you can see come to life in those diverse leadership teams.
And you really described something that I think unique, or at least the way people talk about it, and that was getting people the assistance and the direction and the education that they need that's appropriate for them, not just treating everyone exactly the same.
Exactly. So first of all, we know that through research that women won't likely raise their hand on their own in many cases. And making sure that both men and women know that it's okay to come forward and say, you know what, this job I only have 5 areas of expertise and not all 8, but I'm still going to lean in. We know women won't lean in like men lean in. And so we talk about that. We have programs of gender partnership where men and women come to the table and can talk about, both in the workplace and, quite frankly, at home, their differences of how they look at the world. And that's a great experience for both men and women to come together and think about this. And then that back to that differentiated development in those career discussions as well, leaning in and helping women think beyond what's just next in front of them and thinking about charting their course to what they want to do. I think women are less likely to declare. I'll speak for myself on that. Many years ago, someone came and said, you need to put CHRO on your talent card. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. But having that conversation of why it's okay to dream big, and then charting that course on how you're going to get there, I think is important.
So that's really, it's extraordinary, because and the results really show, but it's all about helping people get the tools that they individually need and not assuming that a kind of one size
And
fits all.
being transparent in that journey as well. We've embarked upon transparency where we not only talk about our representation of women in our workplace and our management ranks, but also our pay equity. So being transparent around that, and then going out and listening every day to what are the barriers that are keeping your people from either thriving or excelling, or why they are staying at your organization, why they are thriving at your organization. That listening strategy is so important to the development of our people as well.
And I've heard that from a number of people about the listening being important. And this seems to have been accelerated even during the pandemic and the challenges that came with throughout COVID. Can you describe it? Has the workforce or the challenge for talent management changed much as a result of COVID, or led you to emphasize things a little bit more or otherwise?
Just the conversation of talent and succession with our board. It was something we always talked about, but more as an event. And now it's a continuous dialogue of talent. I mean, we look at talent and the availability of talent as a risk in our organization, I think more than ever before. That availability and how are you developing that talent. And so at the board level, at the executive level, at the leader and employee level, a real focus on that development and that charting a course. Just not wanting to make people get there haphazardly, but having a plan along the way. The other thing that I think has changed and for the better is that our leadership teams, our board of directors, are getting deeper in the organization and looking at talent along the way. We call that future talent at Cardinal Health. But we have board members that meet with directors and vice presidents where they may have only met with executive committee or operating committee. So getting deep in the organization to understand how are you developing that talent. We talk about those things every day around the table.
So for a long time, organizations have always talked about people are our most important asset, that sort of thing. But has COVID, it sounds like the challenges over the last few years have led the really most senior leaders to live that a little bit more maybe than in the past, which would mean then also elevating HR, or at least the recognition of the importance of the function of HR.
Yeah, I know and I'm proud to be part of an organization that has had decades of HR leaders being thought of as business leaders first and being that strategic partner around the table. Crisis management and what's happening out in the world today has elevated that role, and I can't think of a better role to be into. Let's talk about some of those specifics. First and foremost, the obvious one is just crisis management. CHROs mostly led all of our safety and keeping our employees safe. They led through mental health crisis going on today. But through that pandemic, I think we elevated quite a bit when we just think about crisis management. Also I will tell you, workforce of the future, culture, upskilling, just labor sustainability in general. How do we come to the table and help solve business issues, and how do we do that through our people? Those are conversations that I think have evolved through what's been happening in the world, and those conversations are happening every day almost with our leaders, and there's not a time that I don't talk to boards, shareholders, customers. And so not only are you talking about it internally, you're talking about it externally as well, of just how you're helping achieve business results through your people. And that's an exciting space to be in.
Yeah, that seems like that is what HR has always been, but now seems to be recognized.
It absolutely has been recognized. I like to tell this story of this past fall. In 1 week, I had a conversation with a community leader. I had a conversation with a really large shareholder that everyone would know. I had a conversation with a customer around what we were doing around D&I as part of an RFP process. And of course, I talked to leaders and our own employees. So think about all of that, and throw a board member in there as well. and all of them wanting to know how we are making sure that not only are we providing an organization where people can thrive, but where is that organization going? Can we put people in jobs? Do we have labor sustainability and availability? So it's the stakes have risen, and that 1 week I think is a really good example of what we're doing day in and day out.
And that is also a really good example of how Cardinal Health for a long time has, I think, appreciated a larger group of stakeholders than maybe what from kind of previous decades financial people would have said. It's mostly all about the shareholders. Can you describe a little bit about why it's important for Cardinal Health and for you to really pay attention to all those? You talked about the importance of the employees, but to be thinking about communities as well as shareholders and employees, et cetera.
I think as CHROs and as HR communities, we do kind of own our employee brand, if you think about. And we know, the cliche of war on talent is, quite frankly, just never more important than today. And not only that, but our customers want to know that they're doing business with a great company that produces results, but also has the best people to serve them and healthcare for us. So, so for us, it's about hitting all of those things and making sure that we provide a culture and environment to attract the best talent, to develop the best talent, and to retain the best talent. Now, everyone comes to the table and talks about those three things, but it is a differentiator in the marketplace now, and for us, our employees and our candidates will tell you it's why they joined our organization, is because of our culture. We have a great mission in healthcare. We get up every day and service our customers and patients and change lives, but also we are recruiting people to join our organization, and having this really strong employee brand and living up to it, I think, is a pretty exciting place to be.
Well, and part of that is, and I've heard you talk about the importance of employee well-being, and obviously being a leader in the healthcare industry, that well-being is important for everyone. But can you talk a little bit about what are some of the things you do, and why it's important to really think about the employee well-being as part of this mission?
I got this question from a previous meeting that I just had with some of the graduate students, so I love this question. I think about well-being and really our employees an extension of my own family, if you think about it. And I have a responsibility to make sure that I can provide an environment where my family can thrive, and I take that responsibility to my extended family, and when we think about what do we need to do to help our own. So I use that back and forth of, well, here's what's going on at home. It's got to be going on in my own organization as well. So for us, that well-being is really about people bringing their whole selves to work. We know that we're in a mental health crisis in this country, in this world. And so mental health and making sure that people can thrive has been certainly a cornerstone to that. I think D&I has been another, quite frankly, center point of our culture, and making sure that people can come to work, be themselves, talk about what's bothering them, what's the barriers that are inside the organization, outside the organization. And so we talk a lot about not just physical and mental and financial well-being. We just talk about belonging, and how do you bring those things together, that you're making sure that you're providing everything you can for employees to thrive inside the organization, but also outside the organization. And I think our employees expect that from us as well. They're looking to us to help them thrive as they're helping help us do the best results that we absolutely can for our customers and patients.
And so what are some of the things perhaps that you've done to really do that? Because there's certainly been no group under greater stress than those in the healthcare industry who are dealing with the challenges at home while trying to help society.
So early on in the pandemic, we went out and listened to our employees, and both on the front line as well as employees that were sitting at home on Zoom, and we knew some of the barriers. So you do that from increasing benefits. That could look like daycare, elder care, child care. We improved and broadened our mental health benefits. So benefits is kind of that one thing. We also knew that whether it was in the workplace or at home, that people were under stress, and this again was during kind of the crux of the pandemic. So we set aside Wednesday afternoons where we do no meetings in our organization. We call it midweek moment. And that really came about from those employee focus groups that said, I'm trying to teach algebra to my kid. I can't walk around the block because I'm sitting at my computer all day long. I just need a break. I want to connect with a customer. I want to read a white paper, all of those things. So that's one of the things that we're very proud of, that midweek moment, is a chance for people to stand back and think about that as well. We're in the midst of hybrid workforce like everyone else is, and that's a subject within itself, but that journey of making sure that people have the right flexibility of work and life has been something that I think that we're really proud of. I'll mention this as well in the space of mental health as well as well-being. It's also where our foundation and our community work has gone too. So we partner with several hospital systems on helping frontline clinical workers get mental health access that they need. And we're also doing some work around children's suicide. So all of those efforts come together and really focusing not just on our own employees' well-being, but our community's well-being as well.
Well, I would like to keep this going for a very long time. This is super interesting to me, and I love the image of treating everybody there really as the extended family, and thinking it through how, through helping your employees, even through their own well-being, that's also helping your customers, that's all one big virtuous circle. But I see I've got to get you to the students, so thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
You just listened to another CHRO conversation. Today, Ola Snow of Cardinal Health shared her views regarding some of the unique challenges that exist for HR in the health industry. She also described her views regarding the responsibilities of corporations and leaders to drive employee success, including the importance of true diversity and inclusion. As we see, once again, HR leaders must be creative, courageous, and understand the strategic goals of the organization. On behalf of all of us who are associated with the Master of Human Resources program and the Center for Executive Succession here at the University of South Carolina, thank you for joining us.